Hello everyone, my name is Coyote and welcome to GIC Agents, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a video. Well, I guess I better, give some background first. So, not before E3, technically, not during E3, they announced a sequel to the 2013 game Injustice: Gods Among Us, Injustice 2. Now, I know it wasn't everybody's game. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I personally loved it. It took, I love DC Comics, I love the characters, and it took all the or not all the characters, but it took, these DC Comics characters and it put them in a fighting game that's very, that's created by NetherRealm, the team behind Mortal Kombat 9 and X, well, 9 at the time. And it was great. It was really fun. It was really awesome. I loved it. So, I thought it was a great game. And, originally I before the game was even announced, I thought if there was a sequel, these would be the characters I'd have in it. And then I thought, well, I should make this a video. But at the time, it wasn't announced and stuff, so that ended up getting swept under the rug. But now that it has been formally announced and it's coming out, this is just going to be a little list of different characters that I'd like to see in the game. Now, keep in mind, I chose these characters not based on like how much I enjoy these characters. I chose them more so based on like if I believe they could have a different gameplay style, which ones could play differently and uniquely. Or for other reasons. Pretty much every character that I have selected has a divine purpose for why they're on the list. There's no character that's on there just because I think they're cool or anything like that. Because if I'm playing a fighting game, I want to have characters that are varied and different, as opposed to having 3 different variants of Batman or 3 different variants of Superman, which we kind of got in the last game. So every character has their own purpose. In this game, some characters may play very similarly to others, but they still have a purpose for being here nonetheless. Now keep in mind, this is just characters that I personally think would be cool. If you don't want them, then that by all means, that's your opinion. Sorry. Anyhow, so having said that, let's get straight into it. So one of the first characters I would like to see... wait, back up, rewind. This not only is going to be characters that I feel like should be presented in the main game, but also DLC characters and a few skins as well that I think would be interesting for characters in this game. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. So you'll see those segments later on. I probably won't be talking about stages or anything that I think would be cool in the game, but something may come up here and there. But okay, so now we're going to get into it. So the first character I would like to see in Injustice 2 would be John Constantine, or Constantine as he's sometimes referred to, but his full name is John Constantine, from the Hellblazer comics and more recently just in Comics DC universe. There's various different reasons for this. Quite honestly, I think he could play very uniquely. He's got the whole magic aspect to him. He could be ranged. He could have a lot of ranged attacks. He could, he can maybe do decently up close, but I imagine he'd be very ranged. It'd be fireballs, and maybe he could, do some teleportation, come up behind somebody, attack him there. Summon, some demons or something to attack somebody. He'd be very similar to, I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe a Shang Tsung type playstyle, maybe. I feel like there's a better example, but that's just the first one that popped in my mind. Zatanna. He might play similarly to Zatanna did in the last game, like I said. But I feel like he could be different enough, and he could have enough differences with him that he could stand out. Another reason I chose him is because in the Injustice tie-in comics, he's apparently, now I haven't read them, but apparently he has a role in the Injustice tie-in comics, so in terms of writing, you pretty much already have the character's purpose right there. Just copy, paste it from the tie-in comic, and then there you go. So I just feel like that he... story-wise, you already pretty much have everything planned out. I feel like gameplay-wise, it could be very unique. Not to mention, he's just a great character. Just a great character. He's got that British accent. I could do a better British accent right now, but my voice is a bit hoarse, so I can't exactly do it. But he's just got a great personality behind him, and I would love to hear some of his victory quotes and, some of the lines of dialogue he has with different characters. It's just, I think it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be a really interesting character and a really interesting addition into it. Not to mention the TV show a little while back. I mean, it didn't have a huge following. Part of the reason it probably got canceled by NBC, but I, based on my understanding, had a bit of a following and people got into it. I watched a little bit of it. I wasn't super into it, and not only that, but he's also been brought into the CW universe of superhero shows now in Arrow, which I loved. I thought he was great in that. So you're going to be able to bring in those crowds that really love John Constantine. Not to mention just his fans of the comic series, the Hellblazer comic series in general. They're going to come in. So I mean, I just feel like John Constantine be a really cool character. Next up is Icicle. Now, Icicle is a weird pick. A very weird pick, yes, I know, but there's a reason behind it. So, essentially, Ed Boon teased, I believe it was Ed Boon, I'm pretty sure it was Ed Boon, someone behind the development of the game, teased Captain Cold. And don't get me wrong, I love Captain Cold. I think Captain Cold's a really cool character. He's probably my second favorite Flash villain. First being Reverse Flash, obviously. But I feel like Captain Cold would play very similarly to other characters we have, but I feel like Icicle, and I see the reason they want to bring Captain Cold in. I see part of the reason they want to bring him in. They want another ice-based character, because either they want two ice-based characters in the game, or they're going to take Killer Frost out. And I think that's great. I think the fact that they're trying to put another ice character in the game is great. But I feel like Captain Cold, in exception for the ice capability, would just be another medium-based character, and he wouldn't have a lot of heavy hitting, and he wouldn't have a lot of speed or range to him. He'd just kind of be an average, in the middle character. But I feel like Icicle would be able to not only bring the ice aspect of it to the table and be able to freeze people and, do all the Sub-Zero, Killer Frost-esque things, but I also feel like Icicle would also bring the heavy hitter element to it as well. He would be strong, and he could and bash people, and he could be a really strong character and be a heavy hitter like likes of Bane or Doomsday or even Lex Luthor. And I feel like he could not only he could bring that brute up in your face, close quarters combat, kind of slow lowering but does a lot of damage combat, and the ice combat. And I feel like together in tandem, those two kind of abilities would be really useful. So I feel like Icicle would be a better pick as opposed to Captain Cold. And initially I was going to choose Mr. Freeze for this role, because Mr. Freeze is obviously a big one that comes to mind. But my biggest problem with Injustice, and I see the reason they did it, is that there are too many Batman characters. There are way too many Batman characters. I mean, Joker, Harley Quinn, Bane, Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing. I mean, that's just a few off the top of my head. I mean, there are way too many Batman characters in it, and I understand why they did it. Batman's a popular character. He had a popular game series of his own that people really love and enjoy, me included. Wow, sorry about that. So I see why they put so many Batman characters in it, but now I feel like the Injustice kind of name has built itself up a bit and developed the name of its own. So I feel like you don't have to rely as heavily on other popular characters now, and I feel like just simply so we wouldn't have yet another Batman character, we could put Icicle in there. So my next character that I would like to see is Swamp Thing. Now, Ed Boon also, I believe it was, in the same interview, said that he expressed an interest in doing Swamp Thing, and I think awesome. I think Swamp Thing would be an awesome character in there. I know he has a big fan following, a bit of a cult fan following, due to, I believe it was Alan Moore who had the legendary Swamp Thing series. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Swamp Thing fan myself. I'm trying to get into the character, though. And, obviously, Wes Craven did those films with him back in the 80s. And so, I mean, Swamp Thing's got a bit of a fan following. But mainly, just, gameplay-wise, I feel like he could play amazingly, because he'd be another slow, big, lumbering character, like I said, like Solomon Grundy or Bane or, what have you. But I also feel like he could do some really interesting things with the plant side of him, like maybe root people in place and then come in for damage there, or maybe have like a poison spore attack where he poisons them and they have a poison effect on them and drains their health down over time. And I feel like there could be a lot of interesting things he could do with that. Or maybe use vines to drag someone closer to him, Scorpion style, get over here. So I feel like he could have a lot of interesting things with the plant side of him that you could really play into, not to mention the big lumbering strength side as well. So it's kind of another thing with Icicle where you're getting the best of both worlds. So I very much do feel like Swamp Thing could be an interesting character to to bring into this game. My next character is Booster Gold. Now, Booster Gold is a character that I feel like initially, I want to maybe explain my mindset a little bit to this. So, in the interview, I keep referencing this interview, but this will probably be the last time. Ed Boon teased three characters: Captain Cold, Swamp Thing, and Blue Beetle. Now, he did not specify which Blue Beetle it was, to my knowledge, but I believe he meant the Ivan Reyes Blue Beetle. And quite honestly, I don't think that would be a good pick. I feel like Ivan Reyes Blue Beetle would play way too similarly to Cyborg. I mean, he might be a bit faster and have better air on him, but I feel like he'd play way too similarly to Cyborg. And I don't want just another Cyborg-like character. I want characters to be unique and different. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll put maybe Ted Cord Blue Beetle. But then I was thinking, no, he has the same problem that I have with Captain Cold. He's just another medium-based character. He's just he's in the middle. He doesn't have a lot of height to him. He doesn't have a lot of strength to him. He's just another medium-based character. So I was thinking, if I can't have Blue Beetle, why not Booster Gold? Now Booster Gold still suffers from a problem that I feel like he would play fairly similarly to Green Lantern, but I feel like he has enough differences to him that he could play differently. So I imagine, like I said, it'd be a very Green Lantern-esque playing style. He'd probably fly around a lot and have the flight aspect to him. He'd have a lot of ranged attacks. He probably wouldn't have the up-close attacks that you can really get with Green Lantern. But I do imagine he could do some interesting things decoy-wise, like send Skeets, his little robot, out with him to do like an attack with Skeets, or like maybe Skeets could like stabilize them and like lock them in place, and then he could come up and do some damage while they're locked in place, like stun them. I feel like you could do some interesting things with Skeets, and that could kind of mix up the gameplay enough so that he's not crazy similar to Green Lantern. But I feel like he'd kind of play similarly to Green Lantern, but I feel like he could be different enough that he could be his own thing. So my next character is Vixen. So I chose Vixen, really, so I was kind of thinking, a lot of people have been doing these kind of videos talking about who they'd like to see, and a lot of people are saying Beast Boy, but then I thought, Beast Boy, nah, I don't necessarily know if I want to see him. I mean, I can see why from a gameplay aspect, but I was all like, I don't know about Beast Boy as a character, though, and then I thought, well, maybe Animal Man, but then I thought, nah, I don't know, how accessible Animal Man might be to the general audience. Then I thought Bwana Beast, and I thought, oh, that problem's even worse with Bwana Beast. And then I thought, Vixen, perfect, because not only does Vixen have that animal playstyle, which I'll get into here in a second, but also she's more accessible to the public because not only did she have her own animated TV show on CW Seed, which, I mean, not too many people watch, but still, you might have heard of it. She was also on Arrow fairly recently, and she's going to be on Legends of Tomorrow next season. So not only is she maybe more accessible to the public, also that's some free advertising for Legends of Tomorrow, which quite honestly, it's a great show, and it's not getting the numbers DC necessarily. It's not getting the numbers nearly as much as like The Flash or Arrow are, which is sad because it's a great show and it's really good. And I highly recommend you watch it if you're a fan of The Flash or Arrow or really any sort of DC-esque stuff and you don't watch it. Even if you're a Doctor Who fan, it's got a lot of Doctor Who vibes in it. But anyhow, I'm not going to get into that, but that could be free advertising for Legends of Tomorrow, which I feel like DC sorely needs. You could maybe have a Vixen, like a CW verse, Legends of Tomorrow / Arrow Vixen skin. And that could be some advertising for it there. But also, just, I mean, the fact that her playstyle would be really unique because she got all the animal-based powers. Like, I imagine it would be a very MKX sort of, really, it wouldn't be like, it's hard to describe. Maybe kind of like the Pokemon trainer and Smash Bros. And I know it's a weird comparison, but like there are different playstyles. Like as the Pokemon trainer, you can either play Charizard or Squirtle or Bulbasaur or whatever. Well, I feel like her, you could have different powers. So like you could have the powers of a gorilla at one point, and have like be really strong and be able to get in there and have the super strength aspect. Or you could have the abilities of a cheetah, or the ability of a cheetah, and like be able to move around really fast and jump around and like attack really quickly, and have the speed aspect to you. Or like a bird, you could fly around, and you could have the flight aspect. I just like there are endless possibilities really for how you could play as her, because she can adopt the abilities of pretty much any animal. So it's really interesting the way you could go with that and just move around, and the speed, and yeah, I mean, it's just there are endless possibilities with that, and she could end up being probably a bit of an OP character really. But yeah, so I was thinking Vixen. So my next character on this roster, this is a bit of a guilty character though, because he would play very similarly to another character, but I'll get into that here in a second. Hawkman. Now the big now I know Hawkman would play very similarly to Hawkgirl. They more or less be identical. I feel like Hawkman's variety could be a bit different in the sense that maybe he could be more of a I don't know how to put this, like a slugger type character, like no, like Hawkgirl's really strong and she's got like the up close aspect to her, but I feel like Hawkman could maybe do more in terms of like picking his opponent up and like throwing him across the stage or something along the lines of that. Like maybe a bit more strength to him, but I don't know. But one of the bigger reasons I chose this is I know he played similarly to the Hawkgirl and everything, but this is also in part for promotion for Legends of Tomorrow, because like I said, that show needs promotion. It's not getting the numbers it needs, and Hawkman was in it. Hawkman was a big part of it last season. Now he's kind of leaving. Spoiler alert, by the way, for the season finale if you haven't seen Legends of Tomorrow. Okay, so Hawkman and Hawkgirl did kind of leave the team, but that doesn't change the fact that he was in it last season, and you could have like a Legends of Tomorrow skin for him and a Legends of Tomorrow skin for Hawkgirl, and then somebody could be like, Legends of Tomorrow, what's this show? And then they could watch it and they could maybe get him into it. So really this is also just Legends of Tomorrow promotion as well, but I really feel like I feel like he could be an interesting character. Plus, I kind of get upset because, I mean, this is just a personal nitpick, and it's not like sexism or anything like that. It's always weird to me when you always see Hawkgirl. You see Hawkgirl in the Justice League animated TV series. You see Hawkgirl, in Injustice and a bunch of other things. Always by herself. Hawkman is never hardly there. Like, even in Legends of Tomorrow, to a certain extent, Hawkman, spoiler alert, dies fairly early on in the series, and you don't see him again until the end of it. So, I mean, you always see Hawkgirl alone. And, I mean, it's not that I dislike it. I mean, Hawkgirl's perfectly fine as a character, and she can hold her own. But it's always weird to me. It's like seeing Batman without, or, well, not necessarily. It's like seeing, I'm trying to think of a better example than Batman or Robin, because that's completely different. It's like seeing Starsky without Hutch. It's like seeing Starsky without Hutch. It just doesn't work. Or like seeing, Chris Tucker without Jackie Chan, like in Rush Hour. It's just weird. It's just a weird, kind of thing. So I like when they're both there, and it'd be interesting to make those two fight, lovers quarrel kind of situation. So it's mainly the promotional reasons, but also I just don't like seeing Hawkgirl alone. All right, excuse me. So my next character that I like to see in Injustice is actually a character that, if I think long and hard about it, I thought he was in Injustice, but then I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he isn't. Because it's so weird to think that this character wasn't already in the game, but he wasn't. Darkseid. Now, Darkseid, obviously, big character, big Superman villain, big Justice League, big villain in general in the DC Comics universe. And the reason I chose him, he probably would play fairly similarly to other characters. He'd be a big, strong, brawling character. But I feel like what he would have, an exception to other brawling characters of his nature, is he would have a very great range aspect on him, because he has the Omega beams, he has the lasers, he can maybe pull out like some space futuristic staff and shoot a laser out of it. Kind of very Lex Luthor, very similar to Lex Luthor. But the Omega beams and the like. I mean, I feel like not to mention he has the minor flight abilities, so he could maybe hover a little bit. So I feel like with Darkseid you would have that kind of aspect that you normally don't get with a lot of other brawling characters, and just the fact that he's such a big villain alone, I feel like he needs to be in it. Now, a lot of people have been expecting him to be in it, and in all likelihood he probably will be, but doesn't change the fact that I still want to see him in it. Not to mention, it could be a little bit of promotion for Justice League coming up, because, he's not necessarily going to be in Part 1, but he's eventually going to be in the DC Extended Universe eventually, so it'll be a little bit of promotion for that. But yeah, I just feel like, he could have the range aspect to him, which not a lot of other brawling characters really have, so, that's just it. Next up is Black Canary. So, Black Canary, the reason I chose her is very much from a gameplay standpoint. In Injustice, we don't really have any, Sonic-based characters, right? Like, in Mortal Kombat, we have, I can never remember the character's name. The lady that shrieks. I can never remember the character's name. Please excuse me. I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan in the world. I'm more of a Street Fighter guy myself, or at least I have been. I've changed my ways. I'm starting to like Mortal Kombat a bit more. My meter has always been on like one side or the other of that dial. But anyhow, but we don't really have any Sonic-based characters like in this in Injustice, and I feel like she'd be perfect for it. Now, originally I was thinking Vibe, but then I was thinking, nah, he's not necessarily as acceptable. And yes, I know Cisco Ramon is in the Flash TV series. I love the Flash, but he's not necessarily the Vibe from the comics. He's just like, here I am in my shirt. So I feel like Black Canary would be more accessible because she is also an Arrow. So you're gonna get that accessibility because fans of Arrow are gonna come into it, and you could have an Arrow skin. You could have Katie Cassidy as Black Canary, or even Katie Loitz, I think her name is, the girl that ended up becoming White Canary. So anyhow, but mainly just a Sonic-based gameplay style. When I say the Sonic-based gameplay style, it's a lot of screaming, maybe kind of, there's some dazing to it. They'd probably, get stunned or dazed, and then she could go in for the attack. She'd be really good at combos and up close, fighting as well, due to her martial arts background. So, just, the Sonic-based thing, and, being able to daze people, and then also just, that could be damage. Just, you do the Sonic, that sounded awful, I'm sure. You do the Sonic thing, and it just, severely injures somebody, or maybe knocks them back. I feel like that Sonic gameplay style, could be very, the Sonic vibrational gameplay style could be very very useful, and we just don't have that, and other fighting games of this caliber do. So I feel like she could be a good addition for that kind of character. Alright, and this is going to be the final just character that I think should be in game. Now, I was kind of iffy about these characters also, so some of these characters that I'm saying should be in game maybe should be DLC characters. So whatever. But anyhow, the final character that I think should be in game is Plastic Man. Now, I kind of had a bit of back and forth on this as well. Essentially, I was thinking, I had it between, Plastic Man, Elongated Man, and Platinum, from the Metal Men. And I ended up deciding on Plastic Man just due to accessibility, because not too many people know who Elongated Man or Platinum are. So I decided Plastic Man, and the biggest reason is we don't have a character that has a Dhalsim or Seth from Street Fighter as well. Playstyle, excuse me, sorry. So, we don't have a character that's like a Dhalsim type playstyle in Injustice. So, that's range, that's grappling, that's flinging people about, that's a lot of range and grappling and flinging people about, stretchy arm type stuff. So, we don't really have a character that fits that playstyle. So, I feel like Plastic Man, boom, perfect character. And the reason I chose him over Elongated Man and Platinum is accessibility. Also, Plastic Man's just a wonky character, just a really wacky, wonky character, and I know it would seem weird. It definitely is gonna seem weird to see him in this gritty, dark universe of Injustice. But I just feel like, in terms of accessibility, he's probably the best character you're gonna get, because it's not exactly like Elongated Man and Platinum are that accessible. So I feel like Plastic Man is probably the best character we're gonna get in terms of accessibility for that. And like I said, he could have that Dawson/Seth playstyle, which we really don't have a character for. Now that I've covered all the characters that I think should be in the main game, I'm going to talk about some of the DLC characters. So, some of the DLC characters that I think should be in the. Okay, so here's some of the DLC characters I think should be in Injustice, essentially. Just DLC, more than likely paid. Now, I do want to go ahead and clarify something before I get into the thick and thin of it. And part of the DLC characters I think about is the guest characters are always a questionable thing in these kind of games. The guest character in the last game was Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and in all likelihood it probably will be a Mortal Kombat character in this game as well. But I thought of something interesting, and I know other games like Soul Calibur and was it Tekken? I feel like it was Tekken. Oh, no, it was Mortal Kombat 9 actually, because it had so other games have kind of done this, like Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat 9, and that's console exclusive guest characters. Like Soul Calibur, I believe Xbox, I believe it might have been Soul Calibur 4, but I'm not sure. Xbox had like Spawn, or something like that. PlayStation had a different character, like a Tekken character or something. So I don't know the full logistics of it, but I know that different characters had or different consoles had different characters, and I know in Mortal Kombat 9, PlayStation players got to play as Kratos. So it's not exactly a foreign concept. So I decided that it'd kind of be the same sort of console exclusive characters for Injustice 2 as well. So we'll get into that later. But the first character that should be DLC that is not a console exclusive or anything is Circe. Now I know Circe's a weird pick, but there's a big reason for this, and I'll just talk about her. Actually, essentially my reasoning behind this is Circe is going to be in the upcoming Wonder Woman film coming out next year. She's going to be one of the villains in it. I would say Ares, but Ares may be in the final game because he was in the first one. Plus, I just don't want to see Ares again, so Circe. Yeah, mainly because she's going to be in Wonder Woman. You could have like maybe a Wonder Woman skin if they release what she's going to look like ahead of the movie. They probably won't though. But Circe mainly for that. And they did a very similar thing with General Zod around the time Man of Steel came out as well as a DLC character. So Circe. Now, I feel like she could play very interestingly. She'd probably play similarly to like Zatanna or John Constantine with the whole magic. No, well, John Constantine's going to be in the game. Very similarly to Zatanna with the whole magic, maybe range-based stuff, maybe some grapples, maybe kind of like Raven, like draw people in, crunch people up in a ball. Just very some very magic-based things. Sorry about that. So she could probably, one of the more interesting things I could think about is maybe her just turning someone into a pig, like maybe as her final move, like she just turns someone into a pig and then just kind of lifts them up. And I don't know, like, I mean, I'd love to imagine her just lifting it up and like ripping it in two with her bare hands. But considering the fact that this will probably be rated T, maybe do something a bit more interesting. So you're like turn somebody into a pig, lift it up, and then walk off screen, and then you just hear the pig start squealing and then like a snapping noise, and then have her walk back on screen. Like that'd be really cool, and it'd actually be more like I don't know why, but that just sounds so cool to me. Like her turning someone into a pig and then picking them up, killing it off screen, and then walking back covered in blood. I don't know. I just think that'd be cool. But she could do a lot of cool things with her magic and maybe some teleportation, teleport behind somebody, attack them. But so that's my thoughts about Circe. My next character that I think should be a DLC character is Steppenwolf. Now I know this is a really weird pull, but there's also reasoning behind this, and that's the fact that Steppenwolf is going to be the main villain of the first part of Justice League Part 1, coming out the same year as Wonder Woman 2017. So this could be some promotion for that. Now, if they release what Steppenwolf's going to look like ahead of time before the film, they could have a Steppenwolf skin and stuff, although they probably won't. But I also think Steppenwolf, not only because of the promotion, but also I think Steppenwolf could just be an interesting character in general, just for, like, in terms of playstyle, because not only would he be a big, probably like big lumbering character, brute, up in your face, strong guy like Solomon Grundy or Bane or something like that, but also he could be a bit of a swordsman, and I feel like he could do some slashing damage and stuff, and maybe a bit of range on him, but I feel like the swordsman aspect of it, and just like, him like swinging a sword slash axe, depending on what variant you go with, and just like, just going, just attacking somebody with it and just swinging at him and stabbing at him. And I don't, to my knowledge, an exception for Deathstroke, there aren't too many swordsman characters in Injustice either. So I feel like he could really fit that bill, and also fit the bill of big lumbering brute. So yeah, Steppenwolf for the promotion, but also the gameplay style would be interesting. The next character I think should be a DLC character is Etrigan. Now, I know Etrigan's also a bit of a weird pick, but I feel like gameplay-wise, he could play so uniquely, and to think, I can barely think of any other character in the DC Comics universe that could play like Etrigan could, because he very much has a thing similar to, like I mentioned with Steppenwolf, in the sense that he could, had this big lumbering strength side to him and be able to get up in somebody's face and deliver some heavy blows to him. But also he has the swordsman aspect as well that I mentioned with Steppenwolf. So not only is a big lumbering swordsman, not only is a big lumbering guy, but he's also a swordsman, so he can get some of the sword damage in there. But this is what separates him from Steppenwolf, in the sense that he could also have range and kind of like magic abilities, like John Constantine or Circe, like with the range could like shoot fireballs and like throw fireballs and like do some fire blasts and stuff. And he could also have a magic aspect to him. Like I can imagine he could maybe summon like other demons to fight for him, teleport behind somebody and just get into him, hit him with a sword or something. So he could also have the magic ability, the strength ability, the swordsman ability, the range. Like, come to think of it, Etrigan would be a pretty OP character if you put him in the game, but it'd be great. It'd just be great to have. He'd be so varied. He'd be such a varied character, and that's the reason I chose Etrigan. So, my next character is Rip Hunter. Now, Rip Hunter is also a very weird, obscure pick, but there is a reason for this. Pretty much my divine reasoning for this is Legends of Tomorrow. It needs that advertising. And with Rip Hunter, you could get it. He's one of the main characters in Legends of Tomorrow last season. He's going to be one of the main characters in Legends of Tomorrow this season. So you could have an Arthur Darvill Rip Hunter skin, his skin from Legends of Tomorrow, his actor, and just just get that promotion out there, because that show needs to be promoted. I'm sorry, but it's true. So I feel like that could be interesting, but also I feel like he could play fairly interestingly. I feel like he'd maybe play similar to Booster Gold / Green Lantern, but I feel like he could have something a bit different to him. Actually, I feel like he would be interesting because, I imagine he'd be a very Lex Luthor type character as well. I know I'm comparing him to like every character in completely different ones, but still, I imagine he could have maybe a Lex Luthor kind of thing, except he's scaled down to where he's that medium build. And I know I said I don't like too many medium characters, but I feel like we don't have a medium character that's really, except for Cyborg, that kind of has that Lex Luthor technology aspect to him. So I feel like he could have good range on him, but he could also be good up close. He could do things like stuns and just various different things like that. Like I feel like he could like electrical shocks or something. I feel like he has a lot of things he could do. He could pull out his just laser pistol and pew pew pew, shoot you with some lasers. So I feel like that could be interesting, gameplay wise. But mainly it's just that show needs promotion, and he'd be a nice DLC character to have. So my final DLC character is Rorschach. Now, Rorschach, I know, bit of a weird pick, but Rorschach is a phenomenal character. I love Watchmen. Rorschach's my favorite character in Watchmen. Um, he's great. He's an amazing character. But also, I feel like he could play very uniquely as well. So, he would have some of the typical. He would have the typical medium build that I keep talking about, which I'm not a big fan of. But I feel like he could really be a good brawler character. Just get up close and just, knock you down, throwing punches. He could take his meat cleaver and just, he could take the meat cleaver that he murdered, the famous scene where he murdered the guy with the meat cleaver, and he could just, go, start hacking at you with that. He could, he could take the lighter out and the paint and just do the flamethrower move. I mean, there are endless opportunities with Rorschach. Now I gotta give tribute. I did not think about the lighter move until I watched the video of until I watched Deadpoolzilla. You guys should all go check him out. His channel is really great. I really like the stuff he does on his channel. He did a video very similarly to this one. But slightly different, in which he talked about characters, and he mentioned Rorschach and the flamethrower thing, and I didn't even think about that, so go check him out. I don't know why I didn't think about it. It's one of the most iconic moments from Watchmen. I'm just like, whatever. I think that'd be great. Not to mention, just some of his dialogue could be great, and I really feel like you should bring in Jackie Earl Haley, I believe the name of the actor is, that plays him in the films. If you could bring him in to do the voice, oh, it'd be amazing. I would just, I don't know why, but I love to imagine that after he beats somebody, he just takes the comedian button out, the blood stain on it, and just flips it, and it lands on him, and he walks away. Or his beginning thing is he just walks in, he's got his hands in his pocket, it's just Rorschach's journal, that's the Rorschach journal thing. I mean, it'd be great, he could be a really good up-close personal character, like Fed Meat Cleaver. He could also maybe have the range on him with the flamethrower. I just imagine he'd be a really great character to play as. Not to mention, apparently he's in mainstream DC continuity now, or something, I don't know, there was some sort of reference to it, to be honest with you. I haven't really put my hands on Rebirth yet, so, but anyhow, so, there's that. Now we're gonna get into the console exclusive, DLC characters. And, my first PlayStation, DLC character is Delsin Rowe from Infamous Second Son. Now I know that's a bit of a weird, well, actually it's not too much of a weird pick. The biggest reason I chose this character is he already has the superhero motif. He already has the powers, and all the different things. So I imagine he'd be another medium range character, which, like I said, not a big fan of. But he'd be another medium range character. He could have some, medium build character. He could have some long range attacks. He could do some close range attack with his chain. I imagine he'd be good for. I imagine he'd be fairly good at close range. I imagine he'd be able to string up a lot of combos with that chain of his. He could have the long range attacks and various different things like him, like that. And the reason I chose him over Cole is mainly just because I know Delsin was in general liked better, I believe, than Cole. Also, not to mention the fact that it seems like PlayStation's kind of left the Cole character behind, and if they ever do another Infamous game, they might use Delsin again. Advertising-wise, this character's not great, because Infamous Second Son's already came out, and I haven't heard a word about an Infamous sequel, so I haven't even beat First Son. Who knows what happens at the end of it? He may be dead for all I know. I don't know. But I feel like he'd be good. I mean, I thought about other characters. I thought about Nathan Drake, but then again, that series is over. Plus, he wouldn't really fit into this world of superheroes and demons. I mean, well, he does kind of have demons in his world, but whatever. He just wouldn't fit into this world of superheroes. And I thought about like maybe Joel or Ellie from The Last of Us, but they really wouldn't fit into it. So, or Kratos, but the problem with Kratos is he was already in MK9, and I just I don't feel like it'd be good for them to do Kratos again. So I feel like Delsin Rowe is really the way to go, because he fits into this whole superhero world motif, and I feel like he could be a good character gameplay wise. So my Xbox exclusive character. Now this is a really weird pick. Saberwolf from Killer Instinct. Yes, I know it's a weird pick, but I thought about doing Master Chief, right? But then I'm like, nah, he's been done. Plus, I think he was in. No, I don't know. I don't know if he was in a Mortal Kombat game or anything or not. I don't think it was. But just, like, I feel like Master Chief's an overdone character. When you think PlayStation exclusive characters, he's always the first guy that goes to mind. Plus, I just don't feel like he would be able to fit into this world of superheroes very well. I started thinking about, like, other, Xbox exclusive franchises, and I thought, well, Killer Instinct's a fighting game. And it's already got the formula planned out. And I thought, well, why not have Saberwolf? And the reason I chose Saberwolf is I think, at least the way I see it, Saberwolf's one of the more recognizable Killer Instinct characters, or at least in my opinion, one of the cooler Killer Instinct characters. Now, granted, I have not played a lot of Killer Instinct, I don't know, but from what I have played, I think he's cool. That's just me. So I feel like he'd be really interesting. Plus, we don't have a werewolf-esque character in this game. And I imagine he could play very kind of similarly to Blanka in Street Fighter, where he could just hop on you and just gnaw at you, or you could just completely copy his kind of moveset from Killer Instinct, fine-tune it to kind of fit the more Injustice side, and then boom, there you go. Now, I know this character wouldn't exactly... I know these two DLC characters, this one and the last one as well, wouldn't exactly wouldn't maybe not necessarily sell it well, because neither Killer Instinct nor Infamous, to my knowledge, have that big of a fan following, but I just feel like in terms of fitting the tone of the DC Comics world, those characters would really fit. But I feel like Saberwolf would be cool. That's just me. So, moving on, now we're going to talk about some of the skins I'd like to see. So this is going to be more of a rapid fire thing. I'm not going to get too in-depth into these, but, let's get started. So, one of the first skins I would like to see is a Reverse Flash skin for the Flash. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So, a Reverse Flash skin for the Flash. I say this because the Reverse Flash is an awesome character. I love the Reverse Flash. He's my favorite Flash villain. I think I might have mentioned that earlier. I love him. I think he's awesome. But I just don't feel like he could play differently enough to be his own separate character, and that's what quite a few of these are, but not necessarily all of them. I don't feel like he could play differently enough to be his own character. So, next best thing, make him a skin for the Flash. Now, in a perfect world, I would not only like a comic version of the Reverse Flash skin, I would also like a CW TV show version of the Reverse Flash skin. But I don't feel like we're going to get both, because I feel like there are other Flash skins that need to be done. So, just the one. Reverse Flash comic skin, it'd be cool. So, Reverse Flash skin for the Flash. The next skin I'd like to see would be a Merlin skin for Green Arrow. Merlin, one of the bigger Green Arrow villains. He's in the Arrow show, played by John Barrowman. And it just, it'd be fairly interesting. I do want the comic version of Merlin, yes, with the Ra's al Ghul hair, because that looks awesome. So Merlin, a Merlin skin for Green Arrow. He could play that differently from Green Arrow, so just make him a skin. Alan Scott skin for Green Lantern. It could be a very similar thing to like they did with John Stewart for Green Lantern in the first game, but I want to see Alan Scott this time around because he doesn't get a lot of love. Same thing for Guy Gardner. I'd like a Guy Gardner skin for Green Lantern. Like I said, it could be very similar to what they did with John Stewart. And Kyle Rayner as a Green Lantern skin. It could be very similar to what they did with John Stewart. I mean, John Stewart and Hal Jordan are always getting the time in the spotlight, so I'd like to see a Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner skin, and Alan Scott. So, there's that. Now, these skins that I'm about to name off more than likely are going to happen for promotional reasons. So, a Batman v Superman Batman, a DC Extended Universe Batman skin, Ben Affleck's Batman. Maybe you could bring him in to do the voice. I don't know if he'd be willing to do it. I know they did a Man of Steel skin for Superman when that film came out, so more than likely this is going to happen. Also, a Batman v Superman Wonder Woman, Batman v Superman Doomsday, and a Batman v Superman Lex Luthor. Now, I know the Batman v Superman Lex Luthor thing is going to be different and kind of weird to do because he's nothing like his in-game counterpart. But I imagine, essentially what I'm imagining is you can more or less keep the Lex Luthor suit the same. Maybe what I'm thinking is darken some of the colors, make it maybe more black and gray. Change the LexCorp logo to look more like the one from the movie, and then just take the head, put Jesse Eisenberg's head on it, put the Riddler hair from Batman and Robin on him and just do that. That one's less of a thing I'd like to see, mainly because that would just be so weird and like unmovie-like. But whatever. Um, Another skin I'd like to see: Suicide Squad Joker. So Jared Leto's Joker from Suicide Squad. That'd be cool. That'd be a cool skin. I personally don't think the design's as awful as everyone's saying, but whatever. But you can't deny the fact that he's going to be your next on-screen Joker, and it'd be a cool skin to have. In addition to that, I would also like to see a Suicide Squad Harley Quinn. Now, I know that the Harley Quinn design we're getting in Suicide Squad is not insanely different from her New 52 counterpart, which is what her in-game model is kind of based off of. But I feel like it could change up enough, and I don't know if you could necessarily for either Joker or Harley Quinn or any of the other characters I mentioned, but if you could maybe bring in Jared Leto to do a voice for the Joker character, and Margot Robbie to do a voice of the Harley Quinn character, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Okay, so this next group of characters are pretty much not exactly something that I'm pretty sure that not exactly something I think will happen. Mainly just because their designs have been released to the public, but I don't think they've been really fully released. But a DC Extended Universe or Justice League, the film, Justice League film counterpart for Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. We know they're going to be in Justice League Part 1. They released that image of all the Justice League together. So, I mean, Aquaman, we have a pretty extensive look of what he's going to look like, but Flash and Cyborg a little less so. But I would like to see a DC Extended Universe skin for Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. I just think that would be cool. I don't know if they'll end up doing that or not, because like I said, those designs haven't been officially released. They might not have even been officially modeled yet. I know the Flash is going to have a robot suit of some sort that apparently like 140 pieces or something like that. I don't know, it's crazy. But if they could maybe do that for those characters, that'd be cool. So these next ones are essentially promotion. I might have mentioned a few of these already, but I'm just going to run down through these. I'd like to see a CW verse TV show skin for the Flash. The Flash TV show, it's doing pretty well. It's got good ratings, and they did an Arrow skin, like the TV show Arrow skin for Green Arrow in the last game. So something tells me they might do it in this one. My biggest hope is Stephen Amell came in to do the voice of the Arrow skin for Green Arrow and Injustice. So my only hope essentially is that Grant Gustin can come in to do the voice for the Flash skin in this one. TV show Hawk Girl. So the CW verse Legends of Tomorrow Hawk Girl. I don't necessarily know if they should bring Sierra Renee in to do that voice, but just that'd be cool. Get some promotion for Legends of Tomorrow out there. CW verse TV show Black Canary. I don't know if you should necessarily bring Katie Lotz in no, it's not Katie Lotz. That's her sister, White Canary. I can never remember the name. I don't necessarily know if you need to bring her in there to do that voice or not, but just TV show Black Canary. And the CBS, but now CW TV show Supergirl. Bring Melissa Benoist in to do the voice for Supergirl, the Supergirl skin, but do a skin because she's been confirmed for Injustice 2, so bring her in to do a Supergirl skin. The CBS/CW verse Martian Manhunter, he was in Supergirl. He was a DLC character in the last game, but something tells me they might bring him into the full game this time. Who knows? But TV show version of Martian Manhunter if he's in the full game. Yeah, just do the Supergirl version of him. Now these next couple, I'm probably not gonna get too into because I just think it'd be cool. They did this in the Arkham games, but a DC animated universe version of some of these characters. The DC Animated Universe, for those of you that don't know, is the universe that's compiled of the Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, amongst other things, like some of the movies and stuff. But anyhow, so that's that Bruce Timm kind of designed world, and I mean, many people love those cartoons, including me. They're great. And the Arkham games already did this. They did like the animated skins for like Batman and Robin and Nightwing and a Catwoman and some other characters in some of the Arkham games. So I think it'd be cool to see their character designs in the in the full game. So that'd be like Bat animated Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Joker, Harley Quinn, Lex Luthor, Darkseid, if he's in the game, Nightwing, and Catwoman. So I mean, don't do like every character's counterpart. Like I know there's like animated counterparts to like Killer Frost and Bane and stuff. Or at least I think there are. But I wouldn't do those characters because they're not as prominent in the DCAU. I'd just do like, those characters that I pretty much just mentioned. Um, these two characters are also something I'd like to see. The Teen Titans animated series Cyborg. Uh, Not the new Teen Titans Go, but the original Teen Titans series from 2003, which was great and awesome and amazing. Um, uh, Teen Titans animated series skin for Cyborg and Raven. I thought about maybe like a Robin one for Nightwing, but that would just be weird. So nah. So Teen Titans animated series skin for Cyborg and Raven. These next two are really interesting. Mainly just because these character designs are very different, but also very awesome. The Dark Knight Returns Joker, Frank Miller's acclaimed graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns. Joker, the white suit and the white tie and the, yeah. I mean, it'd just be really interesting because you don't see that design often or interpreted often. So I think it'd be interesting to see that. Also, this one's also going to be really interesting. The Dark Knight Returns Green Arrow. Yeah, where he wears the janitor uniform essentially, and he's got a big scraggly beard and bald on top, and he's missing an arm. Now, maybe you could put maybe you could put a robot arm on him or something, like they did in Legend of Tomorrow, in fact, which I think would be interesting because that design hasn't been completely forgotten, which is which is I like because they mentioned it or because they referenced it in the Dark Knight, in the Dark Knight, in Legends of Tomorrow. So yeah, give him a robot arm like they did in Legends of Tomorrow, and give him the bow, and just I think that'd be an interesting. The Dark Knight Returns Green Arrow. It's you don't see it interpreted often anymore either, but I still like it. Um, oh, now these are a few of the TV show ideas that I just didn't mention earlier, but TV show Vixen, so like the CW verse Vixen, I wouldn't necessarily know if I'd do the animated Vixen. I'd just do an interpretation of her as she looked in like Arrow, or as she's going to look in Legends of Tomorrow. And that is, of course, if Vixen's in the game. Um, TV show Hawkman, I believe I brought that one up. Get some, Legends of Tomorrow out there. Advertise that a little bit. TV show Rip Hunter, if he ends up being in the game, and same with Hawkman. Just advertise Legends of Tomorrow because it needs more advertising. So that's pretty much it for my list here. The funny thing is, I'll probably think of another character that should have been like, oh, he should have been in there. In fact, Plastic Man was like a last minute addition before I even started recording this because I'm like, he would be cool. So, I mean, anyways, that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Also, comment what characters you'd like to see in Injustice 2 or what skins you'd like to see. And also comment and call me a loser if you don't like what I put. I don't care. I can handle constructive criticism. So essentially, thank you guys for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.